So we're going to dive right into this hot topic, man. The only thing that Americans care more about than their Jesus and their Bible is what? Their guns.
Guns.
So we're going to talk about the Second Amendment. And specifically, the Second Amendment in the black community. And should more black people exercise their right to carry? So what's your thoughts, Ice?
Absolutely. You should definitely carry your weapon. And it's what the great Nas said. He said, you better get yourself a what, man?
Gun.
Yes, 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 yes. But it's for different reasons. I believe it's for protection. That's probably the biggest reason most black people get guns is for protection. Now, you do have a certain element of the culture that glorifies guns, gangster rap, all that whole culture, but most people are just trying to protect themselves. When they going to the grocery store, or maybe when they're walking out at night, or just a lot being at home by yourself, or the police don't show up when they should show up, and they have some type of protection to say, you know what, I can't trust nobody to protect me. I have to be able to put that into my own hands and take care of myself. So I'm all for black people legally obtaining guns, training, safety, all of that, and I think that's a great thing for our community.
Now, I'll be honest myself. Like, I think growing up, I really didn't grow up with guns and things like that. And I think I was kind of guilty. My household was guilty of the one thing that we hear about, especially in black communities. There's a lot of stuff about gun control. Guns are out of control. It wasn't a lot of talk about gun rights. And it wasn't really until around COVID that I actually started to exercise my Second Amendment. And I think it was a big old pickup truck, man. And dude said not 911 but 357. I'm like, dang. you know I was like, wow. And I think and I had like family members who were avid gun owners and things like that. And I think the thing that that hit me was that it's your right. You may not like it, you may not like guns, and that's cool, but it's your right to own one if you want to. That's the key thing. You don't have to. It's your right. You have a right to carry. You have a right to own, right?
That's what the Second Amendment say.
Exactly. So I want to get out of the gun control things, right? But you have a right, if you as a legal citizen here in the United States, to own. And I think it's something that I think people should exercise just because it's a right that you have, right? I know a lot of people have different reasons why they do it, but for me, it was just, I mean, yeah, protection and things like that, but it was a right, and I kind of, when I got into it and I started to just train, you started to see like a lot of the things that people are talking about, even some of the mass shootings or the shootings. Sometimes these are illegal people, like people who should not be carrying guns. These are people who are having illegal guns, or people who are taking automatic weapons and have nefarious goals and the things that they want to do. But just naturally, it's just your right. And I wish more people would just exercise the right to do so because it's legally a right. Now, if they change that law, that's different. But I think it's just your right, and I think more people should exercise it.
It's your right. You got a right to fight, to party. But I agree with that, Matt. And moreover, with that, I mean, let's see other communities. They use guns for sport, to kill, hunt deer and, whatever, just avid. That's just what they do. And I think for us, we just see it mainly from a protection perspective. But at the same time, you look at the media and you see what's in the media. All I see for a show like Power, no shot at Power, nothing like that. But I used to watch that show, and you saw the bad part of carrying guns. You saw it in New York City. You saw people just on the show just using it for reasons why they shouldn't be using guns. So I think to Matt's point, I do agree with you, Matt. To have the right to be able to own a gun and use a gun and properly be trained on a gun, I think that's something that's just like if it becomes like a sport, especially in our community, because if we start putting things into sports, we go take over it. And I think that's when they're gonna probably try to shift the laws and say, you know what, no, we ain't having all that. We ain't having all that. So I do agree. Let's put this thing into a sport. Let's make it a sport. Let's take it to that next level. And I think you're gonna see a lot of creativity in the sports, in the gun age, with guns in that industry.
No, I completely agree. And if you actually really pay attention, a lot of times with some of the cuts, even the local cities and the governments and the police can't really protect you like that. I mean, the chief of police of Detroit pretty much said, "Hey, carry." I mean, that's what the chief of police said in Detroit a few years back. And I think that, I mean, like you said, it's the protection piece as well too. But the lifestyle around it is really one of sport. Like, I've taken my wife and showed her how to shoot. And people really get into it. They really break it down. It becomes a sport. It becomes like owning a car. And I think that's something that I kind of had to learn too. Like I found myself watching tons and tons of these videos, and sometimes don't get carried away, man. You watch those videos, man. They take you down a rabbit hole, bro. I was down a rabbit holes in videos, bro. And they like, man, in case an intruder comes to your house, you got to do boom, 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 boom. I'm like, man, this stuff is crazy. But I think just learning how to shoot, learning how to properly use my sights, actually has gone a long way. And like I said too, I'm an advocate. I'm one of those kind of people. If you got like just a regular, just something smaller, that you can carry. It doesn't have to be high calibers. Anything like something that you feel comfortable with, know how to use. You should actually use it because, like I said, it's your right, and that's all it comes down to. It's your right.
Go to different countries, and you'll really start to see that it is really your right because they look at you crazy when you talk about guns and you talk about the Second Amendment or all the rights that we have here, especially with guns. They think that the American culture is just crazy. They like, wait a minute, y'all just got guns just to be having guns? Like, and it wasn't until I started traveling internationally, I really started realizing how that's just a unique American thing. We love our guns here. I mean, one study has shown that we have more guns in the country than we do people. Let me say that again. We have more guns in the country than we have people. So Americans love their guns. A lot of the guns are illegal. Now, I am for getting illegal guns off the streets. I am for getting those war type weapons. Why do we need war weapons in this country? I don't understand that. Maybe you can explain that to me, Bat, but I don't understand why we need guns that are war type weapons, AR-15s and etc. in this country. I just don't understand that.
I mean, I used to feel that way. I get it a little bit. It's almost like if you're really into cars, right? Do you really need your car to go 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds? No. I mean, do you need 700 horsepower in a car? No. But that goddamn stuff feels good, and I think that's what it comes down to. It's like, sometimes for some people, like the AR-15, it's not practical. AK-47 is not practical. But man, when you're at the range, you got the thing on your shoulder. And you got that type of power right in front of you, or in your hands. It's just intoxicating. So I think it's no different than super extreme fast cars. I think that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah, but these weapons are used to do mass destruction, and they've been used in several high profile situations where a lot of people got killed because of it. Now, again, should we have some type of constraints on it? That's all my thing is that I do think we need to have some type of constraints on these weapons and who have access to these weapons. Because to my understanding, anybody can just go and really get these guns. I mean, it ain't that hard to get a gun. If you want to, you can get a weapon of war in a matter of days or probably even hours. It depends on what part of the country you live in at. But I just think that it needs to be a little bit more restrictions. And I think that the rightful law-abiding gun owners, they're going to do the right thing by far and large. Most gun owners, they do the right thing. They carry guns. They do all the things that you're supposed to do with a gun. However, the bad guys, they not doing none of that. They not doing none of that. So if you try to do a mass school shooting, unfortunately, these people know how to get around the loopholes. And the NRA, let's be real, the NRA owns Congress. Nobody's never going to fight for gun control and
Out of
gun
my
control
cold
legislation. They're just not gonna do
hands.
it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they owned by them. So I think until we get money out of politics, I think you're going to see more of the continue of the same thing. So just for that reason alone, you should have yourself a gun. Like I said, nah, I said it. He said it. You better get yourself a gun. And I think go through the proper channels. That's my whole thing. I'm going to go through the proper channels. Matt, you've been through the proper channels, and I think that's just helpful for us.
And I would say this. I mean, the last thing I would say on it is that the culture of it has to start early. So I think like if you have kids, you have to kind of show them and talk about gun safety and a lot of those different things, because a lot of times people can be fascinated by guns and gotta learn how to control it, how to how to properly hold it, just all these different things. And I think it starts just in the family, and you go to other communities. Guns is just a part of their day to day life. It's part of their day to day life. Whether it's hunting, whether it's just going to the range. Everybody knows dad has a gun collection, and he got it in a safe. And it's nothing for just the average family to have 3, 4, or 5 different, 6 different guns in the suburban home, right? And sometimes those things get passed down, like we pass down China, like ancient, Chinese, like
China.
China, like what I'm saying, silverware, things like that. So it's just part of the culture. And I think for me, I'm probably gonna make it part of my family culture. I'm not gonna force it on the people, but if my family's gonna know how to properly utilize it and things like that.
Yeah, you don't want to be like Yosemite Sam, just shooting everywhere. You want to have a little tact to it. You want to have a little swag to it. I'm telling you, I think once black folks really get like view this from not a lens of having guns just solely for protection, and we took it and say, okay, let's make this a sport. I'm telling you, you're going to see a whole new level in this industry because when we get into things, whether it's tennis, golf, hockey, basketball, baseball, we just take over. And I think that we're going to do something that the industry have never seen before if we step into it and look at it from a sports perspective.
Yep, yep, yep. So I hope you like this video, and if you like this content, if you got any ideas or different opinions about gun violence, gun control, or even gun ownership, especially, and gun rights, make sure you put them in a comment. Make sure you share, like, and most importantly, what, Ivory?
Subscribe. Yeah, we're trying to get to 500 subs. We are at 302 right now. Hit that subscribe button, share this with your friends, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Take care.